2007, I stayed in Japan for nearly 3 months and visited many parts of the country while working with 3 different missionary families. God has given me a great love for the Japanese people, and I cannot wait for the day that I'll be able to live among them.
It is ironic that this place, called the Land of the Rising Sun, is living enfolded in darkness. It is a land that worships idols and false gods, commonly practicing Buddhism as well as the ways of Shinto. At birth, every Japanese child is dedicated to a false god. Before any building project begins, a ceremony is held to offer gifts to appease the spirits and dedicate the ground to them. The Japanese people have no idea that their traditions are binding them to Satan. Before World War II, the Japanese worshipped their emperor, truly believing him to be God. But when American General Douglas MacArthur forced the emperor to tell the people he was not God, the people were devastated. MacArthur, seeing their desperate need of spiritual help, made a plea to America that they send 5,000 missionaries. Only a small fraction of that number responded to the call. Today, Japan is a very modern country and a very materialistic one. Money, education, and keeping the good opinion of other Japanese are the driving forces behind the activities of most. Their pursuits only bring emptiness. Japan has long been ranked as having one of the highest suicide rates in the world. Finding no hope while they're living, they choose instead a hopeless eternity.
Hello, my name is Katie Folden, and I would like to share with you how God has prepared and called me to serve Him as a missionary. I was raised in a Christian home and saved at age 6. At age 15, God made it clear to me that He wanted me to give my life to Him as a missionary. I immediately began praying about where God would have me to serve. In the fall of 2004, God made it very clear that this place was Japan. While living in Japan, I observed how the Japanese put a very high premium on the arts. I'm very excited about this as I am trained as an artist and believe God has burdened me and uniquely equipped me to reach the lost Japanese people. I was amazed to see the many ways the Lord chose to use this tool to open the doors to minister to the people there. I had the opportunity of presenting the gospel in a public school using translators and pictures I had illustrated for the children. Even when they eventually forbade us to speak any more about Christianity, I was still allowed to show the pictures portraying the gospel story since I had personally drawn them for the children. One of the highlights of my time in Japan was doing a painting that correlated with the missionary's message on salvation during a Sunday morning service. Many people who had never been to church before came to see the painting, and I was amazed to see God use it in a great way. When I return to Japan, chalk art is one of the means that I'll be using to visually portray the message of salvation. I hope to be able to use this tool in many different churches and camps across Japan for the cause of Christ. Teaching in both English and art classes in Japan, I have found this to be a wonderful avenue to present the gospel. Many people who would not dare set foot in a church service are more than eager to dedicate themselves to art or English classes taught by a native English speaker. This is what I can do in Japan where I'm at, but the Lord has given me a vision for a way to reach people all over Japan, even in places I will never set foot. God has burdened my heart to write and illustrate evangelistic material that can be printed and sent to missionaries to distribute all over the country. Japanese people of all ages are particularly fond of the illustrated page. All across Japan, they produce something called manga, which is similar to our comics, only successfully marketed to every age group. It takes the place of magazines in this dentist's office and can even be shelved in some restaurants for entertainment while you eat. Japan Today magazine says the Japanese people look to the manga to see how they should live. Seeing this method of communication playing such a significant role in their culture, I believe this to be an effective means of visually communicating to all age groups that there is a God who loves them and has provided salvation for them. I cannot be more eager to start this work the Lord has given me to fulfill. I will spend at least the first 2 years at the Karuizawa Language School, learning to speak, read, and write the language. During this time, I will be assisting Pastor Richard Rich and his family. The Riches have been in Japan for over 30 years. I will be assisting them in helping to plant their second church in the city of Saku, near the language school. I will also have the opportunity to help their daughter and son-in-law, April and Michael Riffle, as they open a children's home near the church as well.
It is my pleasure to recommend Katie Folden as a potential part of your mission team to reach the world for Christ. She has a proven record of dedication and commitment to the Lord's work. She's one of the most aggressive yet compassionate soul winners I've ever known. You would be proud to call her your missionary.
I was humbled and deeply touched as I witnessed Christians in Japan literally crying and thanking God that He had sent them another missionary to bring the light into their dying country. Their tears call me back. Despite the present darkness, I truly believe that God is about to do something great in Japan. I ask you, what would you do for the people of Japan? Pray, give, or go, but please do not forget these people who are dying without the truth.